Cryptographic chips on D-pin miners are commonly thought to prove that the data from a miner is good. They don't actually do that. They just prove that the data came from a specific miner. Slapping the word cryptographic on something doesn't mean it's automatically safer. As GNSS expert Dr. Todd Humphreys has shown in Detection Strategy for Cryptographic GNSS Anti-Spoofing, cryptographic techniques primarily authenticate the source of the signal rather than guaranteeing the integrity of the data itself. This is a crucial distinction that has significant implications for D-pin projects. If the data was spoofed before it got to the chip, there's no value that the chip adds to the data. Now, we're not just talking about GNSS projects. This cryptographic chip does not equal safe. IDEA applies to all D-pins who think using these chips makes their project safer, or spoof-proof. Sometimes it's helpful to look back at the problems that we currently face that existed before DPIN. Spoofing information is one of those problems, and the limitations of cryptographic systems in fighting it are not new. Back in 2015, completely unrelated to D-pins or even crypto, Dr. Rev. Christina Angeliki Tolley was looking at spoofing issues where data was inserted into a system before reaching any kind of cryptographic assessment or signing. In her paper, Provoking Security, Spoofing Attacks Against Crypto-Biometric Systems, Tolley highlights a key limitation of cryptography. Cryptography can offer significant but inadequate solutions. She was examining biometrics, and a fitting analogy is the classic James Bond scenario, where he uses fake, gummy fingerprints to bypass a high-tech scanner. Even if the scanner is connected to a cryptographic system that validates the fingerprint data, cryptography can't determine whether the fingerprints are real or fake. The data was compromised at the point of acquisition, making cryptographic validation useless. Similarly, in D-pin systems, if data is manipulated before it reaches the cryptographic chip, no amount of cryptographic assessment will fix or reverse that. The chip can only confirm the data's source, not its authenticity. This happened in Helium, where sophisticated users installed software to inject bad data before it ever hit the crypto chip. So, what is a crypto chip actually good for? And how should you as a founder think about incorporating them? As an investor, what should you know about how crypto chips work? Are there better options than a cryptographic chip to do what it actually does? A cryptographic chip adds cost to hardware, and it makes operations slower. They have to pass through the chip as an additional step. While cryptographic chips do some work to ensure that the data produced is real, along with lots of other work that isn't particularly useful to D-pin, what they contribute in real terms is much less of a value add for data integrity than you might think. The paper High Efficiency Parallel Cryptographic Accelerator for Real-Time Guaranteeing Dynamic Data Security in Embedded Systems by Zhang et al. Illustrates a critical point. Maintaining security while ensuring efficiency is challenging. The study focuses on improving data security without incurring significant performance overhead. They ended up using fancy 4-parallel AES GCM hardware architecture to achieve their efficiency goals, but D-pin projects don't have to. A cryptographic chip's biggest value add in a D-pin miner is to act as a rate-limiting mechanism for how many miners can be added to a blockchain. Additional chips add a cost to every onboarded miner. You want a rate-limiting mechanism in a D-pin, so some gaming entity can't cheaply and easily add 1 million miners. However, there are better mechanisms than a cryptographic chip. If cryptographic chips don't add much value to data integrity, and they are a cost to manufacturers with no real benefit to a D-pin, it seems that a much better way to achieve the same actual goal of rate-limiting onboarding is through onboarding fees. As an example, one thing I observed as part of the MCC, Manufacturers Compliance Committee, in Helium was that a small percentage of third-party hotspot manufacturers the time. Hotspots were able to exploit their ability to roll keys, basically getting around the crypto chip issue totally, but they weren't able to circumvent onboarding fees. These bad actors were only stopped when the onboarding fee became cost-prohibitive to add more fake hotspots at scale. The crypto chips didn't stop them. Onboarding fees are a much more elegant solution to the rate-limiting problem. They drive value into the token rather than adding a cost. They limit the ability of a gaming entity to add large quantities of miners without paying a high cost, one that dynamically changes as demand outstrips token supply. As DePIN continues to evolve and adapt, make sure you understand the real functions of the constituent parts. Cryptographic chips add cost and complexity without addressing the real issue of data integrity. By shifting to a model that leverages onboarding fees and scalable incentives, founders can reduce overhead, improve data security, and increase the project's overall capital efficiency. If you're building or investing in a DePIN project, consider where your resources are best allocated toward costly hardware or adaptive, market-driven solutions that scale. And as always, reach out to Gold Hawks & Associates for all of your DePIN needs.